joined by the Technical Director from West Coast Silver, David Lewis, who's here to tell us about the 5 Elements mining deposit style. Hi, David. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you doing, Danica?
I'm very well, thank you. So,
Good.
what is the 5 Elements deposit style? Can you give us a bit of an explainer?
Sure, no problem at all. Just a quick disclaimer. You can read this at your leisure on the website. There are some forward-looking statements in this. But the five-element vein deposits, they're worldwide known deposits, not very well known in Australia at all. But I've worked on two of them here now. I'm a Canadian geologist working up in the Toronto area, but I've worked on the Cobalt, Ontario deposit, which is one of the major five-element vein deposits known. It produced about 550 million ounces of silver back in the turn of the century. But there's other camps known, the Thunder Bay camp in Canada, the Great Bear Lake camp in Canada, which was actually more of a radium and uranium producer than a silver producer. But in Europe, there's the Consberg silver deposit, which was actually named by the king as sort of the king's city. They took it over as a mining district back in the medieval times. Freiburg or Erzberg in Germany, same kind of thing, medieval production that sort of isn't really active today, but major producer of high-grade metals. Incidentally, I think that's the one where the term cobalt, the gremlin, the underground monster, first originated with, echoes and things like that in the mine. Some of the Jakmov in the Czech Republic, I think that was the one where Marie Curie originally discovered radium and showed that it was a radioactive element. Bouazar, people might know, it's a primary cobalt deposit in Morocco, a little bit of secondary silver associated with it. But then Elizabeth Hill in Australia, it's very, very conspicuous in terms of there's not a lot of five-element deposits known in Australia, which has similar rocks to those in Canada and sort of in Europe. So I'm quite excited to present it as a potential five-element district. But these vein types, they host very, very high-grade silver. They also host arsenic, cobalt, nickel, and bismuth. They may also host base metals, uranium, radium, and antimony. As I said, they're a very, very strong historic source of metals. Some of them were mined in medieval times. One of the main characteristics of them is they host native silver and they host extremely high grades of native silver. Most of the other deposit types, like epithermal deposits or porphyry deposits, native silver is fairly uncommon, but in these five-element vein deposits, it's relatively common. But I need to emphasize the grades are extremely high grade. In Cobalt and Elizabeth Hill, for example, grades in excess of 10,000 grams or even 100,000 gram per ton is not uncommon. And that's just the silver. You get associated metals with them. From very, very strong strategic standpoint, these deposits generally cluster. So all of these particular stars, they're mostly looking at silver districts within the area. There's a bunch of clustered deposit with them. But from that standpoint, they've got a very, very small footprint, but they've got extremely high-grade mineralization, and they're usually predictable throughout a district.
So, from a geologist's perspective, you're very, very interested in them. But why are they important? Is it the grade that stands out, or what's the key takeaway for an investor?
I think the grade is a major standout of these deposits. You don't need to move a lot of rock to get very, very rich deposits. I mean, some of the epithermal deposits, I know the average grade or the cutoff grade might be around 300 grams per ton. Some of the Cobalt Ontario deposits, for example, it was in excess of 2,000 gram per ton cutoff grade. And I mean, some of the samples were extremely rich. But the other thing is that you don't need to move a lot of rock to get high grade silver, but they are predictable and they cluster. So usually, especially when you get the high grade silver deposits, it's usually part of a district that you're looking at. Not just a one-off deposit, and I'm very encouraged by that.